Thank you for tuning in to the Light of Conscience, where the knowing that exists where thoughts do not lights the way. Subscribe to stay inspired. The best compliment you can give us is to share this with a friend. You can also leave a rating, write a review to help others find us. The more the merrier in the light of conscience. Love itself is molding us into what we be. Why wait for tomorrow when right now we can be free? So break down your defenses and throw away your shield and give yourself this moment to believe in what you feel. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us. The first thing I want to do actually before I introduce our guest is let you know that we met online, and I think that Facebook is so cool. I have a group on Facebook where you can meet a whole bunch of people like us as well, and that's the Light of Conscience community. You hear me talk about it a lot, but it's bit.ly/LOC community. Again, it's on Facebook, so if you just search Light of Conscience community, and that's conscience like Jiminy Cricket, not conscious like you're aware of something, but your conscience, you'll see the whale and you'll know exactly that you're at the right place. So with no further ado, I'd love to introduce you to a friend I met on Facebook, Kaylee. She is with Killarney Star. She is Killarney Star, and she's going to talk to you a lot more about that.
Yay! Thank you so much, Laura Christine, for having me. I am equally excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Yay! I know, I'm just like, I can't even really start the podcast because I'm too excited. So yay! We're just going to start talking and see where it goes.
Awesome.
The first thing I ask everyone is, what makes you a way shower? Not really what makes you a way shower, because honestly, everyone is a way shower in their own right. Yeah. But do you see yourself as a way shower? And if so, or if not, when did you realize that you're a way shower?
Yeah, first of all, and I've heard some of your guests on your podcast say this, I've never heard the term way shower until you introduced that to me, just listening and following you. And I think it's one of the reasons I followed you. I was so captivated by, I thought, I think that's me. But more than that, I was like, I want to meet other people like that. And this gal seems like she's got her pulse on those people. So I thank you for that so much. And after having listened to, the 18 signs, you're a way shower, which is wonderful pair of podcasts that you've done. And I think, you look back and you see some clear moments in your life. And one of them that occurred to me after kind of digesting those was when I was very young, like 4 or 5 years old, and I had been tucked into bed, and my parents out in the den, in the living room, put on a record. They put on a beautiful kind of a symphonic record, and I have a memory of this, and also my dad would tell the story. I got up and I went in the room to them, and I said, and I had tears in my eyes, and I said, can you please not play that music because it makes me cry? And I think that was the moment that I realized intrinsically the power of music, and the power that music was going to have in my life, and that I was going to be, to use the term way shower now in retrospective, somebody that could wield that power in a way to change people's lives, emotionally, physically, mentally, however. But yeah, so I think, and then it was not very long after that I began taking piano lessons, and fast forward to today, I'm, piano singer, songwriter, still performing. So, and I had a lot of those other signs too. I really felt like an outsider. I hated school, but because I was a perfectionist, which is another one of your signs of way shower, I muddled through and, did the best I could until my wild 20s. And I really started trying to figure out my voice as a singer-songwriter and get going on that path. So that's just a handful of the ways.
That's an awesome story. So you started really young with music, it sounds like.
Yeah. And my mother was a musician.
Okay.
Yeah, she played the piano beautifully. She played guitar. She sang. Unfortunately, she passed away when I was 7. So that event in and of itself has greatly, I feel, especially just looking back, I greatly feel has influenced my music and my music career.
Can you tell us? I'm sure everyone's really curious now. Can you tell us a little bit about your music style, or like the type of songs and the type of emotion that you're kind of invoking through your songs? Of course, that'll be different for everybody, but your intention, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, and I love that question because ever since I was little and started like on this path of music, I for some reason got it into my head that every song has to have a purpose in the world. So I love that word intention. And so even when I was little, I was like, I would never just write a song for myself. I was always envisioning an audience, whether that was like my dad or my family or some friends coming over to play, or just, I would think bigger. I would be like, well, one day I'm going to be on the radio. Well, one day I'm going to have a big audience. And so when I write my songs, each one I'm like envisioning an audience. So each one is different. I mean, that being said, I write almost 100% from my personal experience because I feel like that's the way that I can get the emotion across in the most authentic way. But yeah, I think each song may have a little bit of different intention, but I think overall the intention is to make people recognize their feelings, which is so ironic because as a kid, when you have a parent die and you're Generation X like I am, and you have wonderful, well-meaning baby boomer parents and relatives, the way that they handle it is to sweep it under the rug and not talk about it too much. Granted, that's a whole nother story about that event, why they swept it under the rug. But anyway, I was left with this sense of the show must go on, with the sense of fortitude and the sense of performance, even in my personal life. So I forget where I was going with that, but I was taken to therapy and been told as a kid, you're bottling your emotions. And I was like, so that's what I was taught to do. But I know now as an adult and as a way shower, the last, several years, I've come to understand, like, you can't do that. It's going to manifest in your life one way or the other. And you have to get those emotions out. And so that is really what I aim to do with my songs. I write them first for myself and out of my own personal experience, but like to help draw out of the air, out of the universe, the feelings that may be relatable to it. And someone else might hear it and relate something totally different to it. But I guess to answer your question simply, I'm a piano singer, songwriter. My music is, I think one of my earliest songwriting influences is probably Tori Amos. And although I like to tell people my songs make a lot more sense than hers, I'm not so woo-woo out there, and I feel that she's very stuck in her own head. I love her, but to me, her music comes across as what Simon Cowell would call very self-indulgent. People are saying on stage, well, it's very self-indulgent. And there's a place for that, and people, including me, relate to her music in amazing ways. But my ultimate idol is Sting, because I feel like he can write a song that has a popular sensibility to it, but an authentic story and emotion to it. And that's exactly what I strive to bring to my songs.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And you actually have, I'm going to just jump right in and tell people about the fact that all the listeners, so that's you, whether you're listening to this the day it drops or months and months or even years later, right? If you still have the song.
Right.
Which you will, because songs are kind of, they're art, and art, when it's created, there it is.
Exactly. It's out there in the universe. Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Kaylee has a free song download for everybody listening.
Yes.
And what song is that? And is there a way that I can like play a little bit of it?
Yeah,
right
absolutely.
Now, so they can hear it, even if I like splice it in later?
Yes, absolutely. I have about a minute of it queued up.
Oh, okay. So you can do it
now?
now?
Yeah. But yeah, I have an album that is getting ready to be released. We're literally in the final stage of getting ready to order the CDs like this week. So by the time your listeners hear this, it should be out there in the universe and available. The album is called Unicornucopia. And the reason it's called that is because there's a little bit of everything on this album. Anyways, I'll get into that another time. But I attempted to try a lot of different genres on this album, but the musicians I brought together on this album were incredible. Most of them also play in orchestras, like very high quality, high caliber. So this song is called Never Lay Down Your Dreams. And I wanted to play just a clip of it as an inspiration, because I feel like I'm trying to walk my talk and never lay down my dreams, because I have revived my music career at age 45 this year. So I had a wonderful cellist play on this, and we recorded it on my grand piano that you often see me playing in my Facebook Live videos over on Facebook. And this song too, I'll do a deep dive of it maybe on my Patreon page, but I wrote it based on a wonderful documentary called Born into Brothels, about children in, I want to say Pakistan. I can't remember the country, but it's been years since I saw it, but they were literally born into this way of life that they didn't choose. But in the documentary, somebody came in and gave them cameras to take and taught them to take photographs, and basically gave them the gift of art to express themselves. And so my song is an expression of hope that they will carry on with that. And many of them have. You got to see this documentary. So this is a little bit of Lay Down Your Dreams.
Thank you so much for choosing that song. I remember you played that live on Patreon, maybe on Facebook too, but I follow her, or what do you call it? Support you. I'm a patron on her.
Yes, you are one of my patrons.
Yes. I absolutely love supporting musicians in general, but then when I saw that you had a Patreon site too, I was just like, oh, yeah. That was a no thought. I'm like, I am supporting her.
Oh my gosh.
So,
yes.
but back to that song, I mean, it's so powerful. And when you were explaining what you intend for your music, you just gave us a perfect example. It's just like, you can feel it. It's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing it. Everybody, it'll be in the show notes, but please go and download that song, because you're not only supporting Kaylee. I know it sounds like, I mean, it's a free song, so it's not like she's going to get financial gain from that song, but play it, let other people hear it. And then if they have questions or if they feel something, just tell them, oh yeah, it's this woman, her name's Kaylee, Killarney Star. She was on the Light of Conscience podcast. All these word of mouth things are what keeps our light growing, and not just ours, but everybody's. It keeps the light growing, and that's what we are all about through our music or through our lives. So now I got to jump into more of your life right now, because like I said, I'm following Kaylee on Facebook and on Patreon. Just tell us. You tell us.
What have I done? It's kind of the question I'm asking now. I know all my friends and family are wondering, but what have we done is we sold 97% of what we own, including our dream house. And we bought this RV that I'm actually sitting in right now. And it sounds kind of bad because it's not fully furnished yet. We're renovating it a little bit, but we bought this RV. This is our home. And me and my husband and my kids, my 2 kids, and our Boston Terrier. And we're going across the country to travel. We're taking time off from working for others, but to be quite honest, the things that led us here, we really believe at this point we'll never own a house that size again. It was a 2,600 square foot house. Will probably never work for someone else again. Not saying we're retired, but what I do now is my music. I chose my music as my career, and I can't begin to express the amount of freedom that I felt in doing that, and just in honoring what my heart, what my soul has been telling me my whole life. You need to do this. And I finally got the courage. I wonder if it's I got the courage or I got fed up enough to do something about it last year. So yeah, I mean, I think at the time, right now, at the time of this recording, I'm sitting here in we're on my in-laws property getting the RV ready. But at the time that you probably release this, Elsie, it will be in, I don't know, Arizona, New Mexico. We'll be launched. We'll be off on our trip. And my goal is to play house concerts, and to build my Patreon following, and to sell my CDs, and to just play shows, what I call pop-up shows, just like wherever at RV parks or at places we stop. And just, I've already met so many other wonderful full-time RV families and RV community people just through my social media accounts, especially on Instagram. So I can't wait. We as a family cannot wait to get out there and meet more of them. But yeah, I mean, that's it in a nutshell what we're doing. You might ask, are you crazy? How can you throw your sense of security to the wind like this and just be like, we're homeless, we live in an RV? And, do we have a retirement plan? No, we're doing it right now. We're kind of crazy, but to summarize, between my husband and I, we've been laid off 4 times in the last 3 years. And when I was laid off 3 times the last 3 years. He was laid off in May of this year. Well, I was still trying to find another job from being laid off last fall. And just my heart wasn't in it anymore. And after he got laid off, he had a lot of new perspective about working for someone else. And he said, I have faithfully worked my ass off for people for 20 years. And so have you. And he said, what if we didn't have to work for this house? What if we could just work on your music? It started with that. And it very quickly became, let's just sell it all and let's just go on the road. And I was terrified. And you can, Elsie, you saw the post I put recently on Patreon where I was talking about that house meant everything to me. It was so hard for me to leave. So I'm not sitting here saying this is what everyone should do or it's easier. I did it glibly and I waltzed off in the sunset. But the bigger picture is my husband had me at, you get to go on tour. He's like, we get to work on your albums. You get to go on tour. He said, I get to do video and, meet people, the things that lights him up that he loves to do. And our kids, I'm sure everyone's like, what about your kids? Well, they've been enrolled in eSchool this semester. Our county offers a virtual school that's totally free and, part of the public school system. And they're getting straight A's. They finish their lessons in 3 days a week. And we have 4 days a week to play and explore and relax. And yeah, I talk all about this all the time on my Instagram account, which is Space to Smile. And so far we're still very proud of our choice. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be hard at times, but yeah, I'm the 45-year-old who's reviving her music career by selling everything and going on tour with her family.
I so am in love with your story. And I have to say, I've been noticing something recently, those questions, you know, it's from people who really love us and they're scared for us because
Right.
they couldn't do it. And everybody kind of knows that, but they'll stop. And they're
Yeah.
not even going to stop when you quote unquote prove anything,
True.
because here, in my experience, so when I was 28, I moved across the country by myself. Um, and man, were there questions.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it was hard because for me at that age especially, it was like, why are you questioning me? Like, I know what
Right.
I need. And it was kind of, there was a defensiveness in a way.
Right. Right.
And then when I was I guess 28, 29, 30, about 31, I did the same thing, but I did it on a grander scale. So again, like you, I sold everything I had but my guitars. I gave one of my guitars away actually, but I kept 2 guitars, and one was a mini, and then one was actually somebody else's that I was holding on to for him. So I wasn't going to sell that one, but I sold the other one, and I brought a backpack and my small guitar out to Hawaii with no plan, no job. I didn't know anybody. I just came.
You followed your heart.
I know, exactly. And it's just like you did. And did I have questions? Of course I did. Or did I like get the questions? Yeah, of course I did. But so recently, I just quit my job that I had in Hawaii.
Yes.
Other than my husband, who was just like, okay, so what are you gonna do? You know, because he's my husband and I live with him, and we share resources and
Yeah,
pay for things
exactly.
basically like equally. So
Yeah.
okay, so what? And I just nonchalantly said, well, I have this, I'm going to do this, blah, 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 blah. I have, this, blah, 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 in the works. And that was literally the only question. You don't get questions anymore. Once you follow your heart for long enough, people don't, and you know why it is,
Yeah.
because you stop questioning yourself.
That is so true. That is so true. Yes. Yes. But I think it's a cyclical thing. It's like, to gain the confidence to do something like that, you have to just put one foot in front of the other and do it. And then that starts giving you the confidence
Exactly.
to stand up against and eventually almost ignore, if it's just really negative, the barrage of questions being aimed at you.
Exactly. No, exactly. And it is. It's like, yeah, I'm saying all of this, and I think we're talking about this because so many people like us who just want to follow their hearts and who are following their hearts, we get all of those questions from the heads of everyone else.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, it becomes in our minds. So, the thing that I struggled with was, as a kid, I was, I always excelled at music, and I was making up my own songs since there's a recording of somewhere I've still got to find of me playing the waffle song at age 3. Like, I was making up songs since I can remember, but I always told my parents, I want to do music. I want to do music. They're like, what do you want to do when you grow up? I want to do music. No, you have to get a real job. And, they meant well. And so many parents are still telling their kids that, but, and at some point we have to take responsibility and start listening to the voice in our heart instead of the monkey mind and the voices of other people who think they know what's best for us. And, to that effect, I want to say, like, people talk about work-life balance. And I think especially for women, that's a huge farce. I might get some flack for this, but I don't believe that you can happily, I'm not even going to use the word successfully, and I don't care how people define that term. I don't think that you can happily and with alignment in your soul work a job, work for someone else or yourself, raise and properly nurture a family, nurture yourself, nurture your relationship with your partner, and do your hobbies. Once I just realized and decided that that's not a thing, that I didn't come up with that ideal, I'm trying to live up to society's ideal of that, and that it's impossible, at least for me, I was able to let so much go and say, you know what is important out of that? What's important is my family, my relationship with my spouse, and me and my hobbies, in no particular order, because they're all equally important to me. But, it's not important to me to excel in some career. It's not important to me to cook a great meal. It's not important to me to have a big house that I keep or the nicest car. Like, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, once I defined what was really important, the universe opened up and showed me a way to have all of those. So my music becomes my work, becomes my career. It also becomes a way for me to connect with my husband because we have so much fun doing projects together. This decision, I won't go into it so much because it's probably a whole other story, but this decision to align with following my heart finally saved my marriage. I mean, my marriage was falling apart last year. Also, therapy helped save my marriage. And my husband absolutely met me halfway and helped save our marriage. But, so many things can go awry when you repress the pain. You keep dancing around the pain of not being true to yourself. Because I think the deepest pain is not being true to yourself. And anything else is just fluff. But I hope that if women listening to this, or anybody, I mean, I just think it's really hard for women because we're like the child nurturers, women who, want to start a family. But I hope that anybody listening to this podcast comes away with my 2 cents, which is, it's okay. Let something go. Just commit that you're going to let it go, and the universe will step in and help you find a way for you to make all of your priorities right.
Thank you so much. That wisdom right there is absolutely priceless. And it's also incredibly true. And your path is going to lead you. You have a vision. I'm sure you have a vision of what you're excited about life looking like. And then life is going to show you more. That's what happens.
Yeah.
So that's why we say, don't get attached to anything. Because, when you're attached to this amazing vision that you have, then the universe, it's like you won't allow the universe to turn your head and and show you this other thing that's even better. So
that's very true. Yeah. It's hard. Yeah. I have a saying, it's really true, Laura Christine. I have a saying, instead of using the word manifest, sometimes I like to use the word womanifest because I think that women have way more power than they give themselves credit to manifest these things into our lives. The level of intuition and grace that is just inherent in being a woman is so powerful. And if we can, I just learned in the last few years, if we can harness that, but then we could go so many great places. But you have a very good point that if we say, it's important to visualize, but it's also important to be vague enough that you just say, okay, I'm going to define the cliff and I'm going to go jump off that cliff now. And I know that the universe is going to build the parachutes and the slides and the ladders that I need to make it down safely so I can get to the next cliff to jump off. And I have a saying, I haven't really published this anywhere, but I have a saying, if you're not scared shitless, then you're jumping off the wrong cliff. You need to go find the right cliff to jump off of, because the more that we stay in our comfort zones and just visualize something really easy for us, the more that's just not being true to what you're meant to do, what you're called to do, to your inner spirit and your potential. So I love that you pointed that out. It's very, very true. Be open to how the universe is going to bring it about. I mean, I'll give you a quick example. So we put our house up for sale in June, and we were like, we're going to be gone by, and I was having some fun joking around about this on my Space to Smile on my Instagram account. I was like, we're going to be gone by August. And we had planned this whole itinerary where we were going to go, blah, blah, blah. August rolls around, September rolls around, October rolls around. I learned to just say, I'm so happy and grateful that we have this beautiful house to leverage, that the right people are going to come along. I'm so happy and grateful we're still here for Halloween. The kids can go out with their friends one more time. And finally, the house, well, we had an offer by then, but finally the house sold. It closed in November. And so that's why we're here so late, just fixing it up. But, I didn't sit there and say, oh, it's going to, sell on this date. You can, but the family that bought it is so amazing, and they're friends with some of my family. So it's I am so grateful that they, that we were able to be patient and wait and have the right opportunity for them to buy it, because it's absolutely perfect for them. So
yes.
My other saying, I'll end with this. My other saying is it's all going to be fine. Somebody said this, it's all going to turn out fine in the end. And if it doesn't, it's not the end. So.
Yeah. Yes, I know. I love that one too. It's such a good reminder that, oh, right. And even even in this human life, the end isn't the end. So, we can get into all of that. And I think that you and I could easily make a quit your job webinar, because I've actually come full circle. When I was 28 and I was leaving everything behind and just like, yeah, I'm busting forth on my own.
Yeah.
I was just like, everyone, if you're not happy, you need to quit your job and you need to leave your family. I don't care, blah, blah, blah. I was just like, and then I lived a little. So I'm 36 now, I think.
I love that you forget your age. Like, I do that sometimes. I
think hold on, what year is it? 82? Yeah.
You're ageless, Laura Christine.
I guess so. So I'm 36 now, and that's 8 years. So through these 8 years, I've humbled. I've been very humbled. I've been shaken very, a lot in good, healing, growing, a lot of growth.
Yeah.
And I realized, not everybody is in a place where they're just gonna leave their family.
Exactly.
Not everybody's in the place where they're gonna leave their job. They want the feeling of the security that gives them. And then now, again, so I live in Hawaii. That is very expensive. So this isn't a bragging thing.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. I've worked with real estate agents there. I'm like, oh my gosh, the price of the house is.
Well, yeah. So I don't own anything, and I probably never will. I don't like to say never, but at least not in this state. So we rent a very, a small place that's made with plywood that has no insulation. Luckily we live in Hawaii, so it doesn't matter. But my point here is this is also not it's not a bragging story. It's definitely not a sob story. I'm just saying my source of income was enough where I could live with some comfort. Yes. And I decided right now that's just not, that job was perfect for me while I had it. It was definitely heart-led to take it and to be there and learn what I needed to learn. But then it's just my conscience told me, okay, come on now, it's time now, and you've been knowing this for a while, so you're gonna go with it now.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I this time, I don't know. I don't really have a vision of what everything's gonna look like I did when I came here and like I did when I moved out to Ashland, Oregon. I was like, it's gonna be like this, and I'm gonna be this healer, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah, we do.
And then it was also different. This time I'm just my heart told me it's time to leave. I'm going to leave. My head's not going to argue this time. And I'm just going to let my head do something else and, figure out a background track to play. Cause I was hearing, wait, how are you going to make that question? How is the income going to be? I mean, you have a lot of these skills, but people have to want to take you up on them.
Right. Well, yeah, I know, believe me, I know. I spent a year looking for a job when the job was right under my nose. Now, that's not to say I make a ton of money right now from my music, but I'm the same outlook as you. I'm like, if I just know now, because so many things have been stacked in our favor this past year as we've stepped off that cliff, and the universe has been like, here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go, catching us and propelling us forward. I know now that when I go to, right now we're in the rebuilding the RV phase, and I'm trying to help my kids finish their schoolwork for the year so we can just focus on the road. But in a few weeks, we get on the road. I know when I reach out to people for concerts, when I reach out to people for song commissions, when I am able to be back to devoting full time to my music, I know it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I'm going to get money from that. And anyway, we're okay for a number of months just from the sale of our house. But we're gonna be fine.
You said the magic word. No, I know, because people get stuck in I believe, I trust, I have faith, I have no, that is all hope. And hope is, what did Jim Carrey said, hope is a beggar or something. And and faith is knowing, I believe too. Like I could get into semantics and stuff and what my definition of every word is, but I'm not going to go there. But knowing is, there's no thought then. You know what I mean. You just know. And that's what I call conscience. It's the knowing that exists when thoughts do not. You are following your conscience. It's the same as following your heart, following that thing that you know. And I'm so excited to see where it goes for you. And I want to talk to you forever and ever and ever and ever. Well, maybe not. Maybe not with no breaks. And I also want to have you back on the podcast once you've been touring a little bit. Before we go, can you please tell us, I know we have your Instagram at Space to Smile. Please tell people how we can all support you with Patreon. I think $5 is the lowest tier for you, but you get a deep dive, a live video. I'm just telling the listeners, she explains where the song came from, and then she plays it for you, and you're just like, oh my God. And music is medicine. So what kind of medicine are you wanting to support? I would support Kaylee.
Thank you very much. And I used to be a music therapist years ago, so I'm very much of the mind that, like I said, each song has to have a purpose, but it also can be medicine to people. And I've seen that in my live shows where I play a song and I tell the story, and people transform a little bit, and they come up to me afterward and said, that song you played, that really touched me because blah blah blah, and it meant something to them. So thank you for giving my channels a shout out. Yes, Patreon is a wonderful platform. Of course, you're on there as well. It's where artists and way showers and people who have important work in the world, which I think is all of us, can go to get paid for that. So when I say work for myself, I very much do. I'm very much dependent on subscriptions, people that would like to join my Patreon page. You do get all kinds of goodies. You can join for as little as $5 a month, and you can quit anytime. But so far I've had 100% people sticking with me, which is amazing. I love all of my patrons so much. And so far, the patrons that have been on my page this year have helped me fund this album that I'm getting ready to release. I could not be more excited about that. And if you join at certain levels, you'll see you get certain ones of my albums absolutely for free. I'll send it to you in the mail. And I'll also send you, if you listen to my songs and you pick one that you really like the best, I'll send you a handwritten lyric for that that's signed. And if you join at a certain level, I'll write a song. I will do a cover song for you via a video. So if you have someone that you wanted to dedicate a song to or whatever, or you just have a favorite song you want to hear my rendition of, and if you join another level, I'll actually write a song for you. There's a couple levels for that. If you join at the topmost, the director level, which is just a one-time fee, I will actually do a song and your own song all about you or your loved one, and a video. Or you have to just give me access to some photos, which usually people's Facebook pages or Instagram pages enough for me to get some really great material for that. And I'll do this amazing slideshow about your story or a trip you took or your life, or to celebrate somebody's anniversary or birthday. I'm definitely taking those commissions right now. I can only take 2 of them because they're really time intensive, for Valentine's Day, and I can't wait to see. I started doing them this past Valentine's Day and wrote to date what is one of my favorite songs ever, called Love Shine Through, for a friend of mine that won my songwriting contest, and it was for her son who's 7, and the whole story about all that is on Patreon. So yeah, the hub, probably the biggest hub right now for all my activities of what I'm doing with the RV and travel and my music, is Instagram. And again, that handle is Space2Smile, so Space TO Smile. And you can also check me out on Facebook at Facebook.com/Killarney Star. And that's where I'll get back in the mode of doing it, but I play at least once a week and sometimes more live videos, just me and the piano. And my piano's in storage now or went to a friend's house because we are traveling, but I do have my 88 key keyboard. And as soon as I can find a place for it in the RV, I'll get that set up and be doing those videos again. I'm sure by the time you put this podcast out, I will be be doing those again. So yeah.
You're going to have the coolest RV ever with a piano in it. Well, with the piano size keyboard. That's so great.
Thank you. I didn't say the links right. Sorry. So Patreon, it's patreon.com/Killarney Star.
Okay.
So it's Killarney Star run together. And then the listeners, I set a special link for you all if you want to get a download of that song, Never Lay Down Your Dreams, that I played earlier on the podcast. If you want to get your own full-length digital download of that, just go to bit.ly, so bit.ly/Never Lay Down. All right. So, and no capitalization there, Never Lay Down. And that's just a little form you can put in your first name, your email, and join my email list, because I actually have a lot of things that I'm going to be putting out on the email list that are exclusive. If you join my Patreon, you'll automatically be included in the emails as well. Yeah, so that's some ways to, I would keep an eye on any of those accounts, because like I said, my album's coming out, and I have another album that was released years ago that we are going to be re-releasing, so that'll be coming soon too.
Awesome. And you answered the question I was going to ask you about Patreon, the URL, I guess. For
yeah, sorry.
So, no, that's perfect. I'm so excited. And you're in the Light of Conscience community on Facebook as well, right?
I am. Yes, I just joined recently, but I just I've listened to so many of your podcasts, Laura, Christine, and I am so overwhelmed with I just always hear something mind-blowing from you and your guests on every single podcast. And everybody's talking about, this community, we've joined this community and we get so much out of it. And I was like, I gotta be in this community. Oh my gosh. So yeah, my bandwidth for participating in online things has been really limited the last couple of months while we've been liquidating our estate, but definitely looking forward to getting back to being more social online and contributing to that group. Absolutely.
Yay. And you know what I just thought of? Doing Facebook Lives with group members. So when you're on your road, and we can literally continue the conversation in the Light of Conscience community on Facebook as well. So how to find that, I explained it in the beginning, but just search Light of Conscience community. You'll see the whale and you'll know you're in the right place. And we're really excited to see you all there, both Kaylee and I, and all the other places where Kaylee is. Go follow her, go support her if you can and want to. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't, but thank you so much for listening in. And Kaylee, thank you so much for sharing your brilliance. I am looking forward to the next time we can have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Laura Christine. This has been wonderful. Anytime I get to hear your wisdom, I always like to hear your stories and just help be a light in the world, as you've defined the term way shower. Thank you for that. You're amazing.
Oh gosh, thank you so much. And I don't know. That sounded right. So there it is. So until next time, so much aloha and all the best to you on your tour.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope you could hear how absolutely delightful she is. And I really encourage you to check out her Patreon page and follow her on Instagram. It's really fun because she is living that conscience-led path. And that is what life is all about to me and her, and probably most of the people listening here. So if that's you, definitely check her out. And you can check out my Patreon page. I use it a little bit differently. It's more of a membership kind of club where it's my medium, I guess, for offering my work in the world. So Reiki sessions every week. Kundalini yoga is added now. So exciting. I have stay awake chatter breaks for people like us who, I'm not saying that we don't need coaching, but coaching is kind of for when you're really looking for the tools to use to ease transformation. And many of us have so many tools already and we're using them and they're helping. And then there's still that thing missing, and that thing is connecting with other people who really get it like we do. That's what the Stay Awake Chatter Breaks are. That's what it's all about. It's just about getting together with people who are very much in the same vibrational place so we can share anything and everything and grow in that way. So check it out. It's bit.ly/club, capital L, capital C. The reason LC is capitalized is actually because if you don't, you'll go to some monster job site, which I think is hilarious because I'm all about like not working for anyone else. However, LC stands for the Light of Conscience. This is Laura Christine signing off. I'll see ya in the Light of Conscience. And don't give up on your life. Your dreams give hope and offer light. Let's make love to the beauty of the lives we've yet to live.